play action. And a roll to the right and keeps his eyes downfield. And launches one across the field. And that is Gronkowski who gets open. As the defender fell down, he kicks the ball inside the 10 for a first. That's Gronkowski in motion on third down and goal. James White is in the backfield. Caught 10 passes last week. And Brady to the back of the end zone, caught for a touchdown. So Keyshawn Martin, but a flag is down at the 4-yard line. Coming up for Nick Novak.
Irritate this defense that was playing so well.
White and Bolden both in the backfield. Chandler now splitting out. They split the two tight ends. Gronkowski comes to the bottom of the screen.
A linebacker.
And a slot receiver. And it's Gronk making the catch for the touchdown. 49-yard attempt. This one is through the uprights.
And some of the things that they did, and you just never saw those pass rushers get going.
And here goes Bolden breaking tackles, gets the first down, and that should take us pretty.
Are we gonna raise the roof? Oh yeah. Are we gonna touch the sky? Hell yeah. Everybody with let me hear you now.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another edition of the Flying Elvis Faithful. It's your boy, Shaq flying the flag of the Flying Elvis here in the evil city of Gotham. That's New York City. Happy Hanukkah to all of you Jewish listeners out there in Patch Nation. Although I would say Merry Christmas, but it's about 55 degrees here in the evil city of Gotham, so I don't know if it feels very Christmassy yet, but welcome to the Flying Elvis Faithful. We got a great show for you today. We have a lot to talk about as far as the Houston Texans game, Patriots victory 27-6. We have some injury news to talk about, and the injury bug just won't stop for the Patriots. We'll talk about that. We have a few transactions that just occurred about 5 hours ago, so we have that to discuss. And we also have our very first, hold on, let me get the sound effect. Voice of the enemy. Voice of the enemy, that's right. We're going to have our boss, Ralph Garcia, to talk about the Tennessee Titans, so that's going to be very exciting. So we got a jam-packed show, but without further ado, let's introduce our friends here from Patch Nation. From all the way from Oklahoma, it's Josh Manson. Josh, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Looking forward to the show, and let's get John on here.
And John Doucette, all the way from Massachusetts. How you doing, buddy?
Good, Shaq. Stay away from the buttons. It's really a bad thing, especially when it's live radio.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, these buttons, yeah, they're really confusing. I guess I have a case of the injury bug, which we'll get to in a moment. But let's get it started, guys. Let's talk about this 27-6 14-6 victory that the Patriots had. They got back on track against the Houston Texans. And going into this game, even beforehand, there was a lot that went on, and we'll talk about that later on. But before we even get to that, Josh, I want to go to you first. How did you think the Patriots responded to this win, to this game? Of course, the backs were against the wall after 2 straight losses. So how do you think they bounced back, and what did you think overall?
Man, I was so impressed with the defense. That's where we won this game. We had, 6 sacks, I think, on the day. Guys that, normally haven't shown up, like Sheard and Hicks, had 2 sacks each. And Logan Ryan, unbelievable game. He was shut down most of the game other than 1 catch to Hopkins. Other than that, impressive performance. And then getting Gronkowski back was good, and he was a factor right early in the game. Brady played good. I mean, there's a lot of positive from this game, and then, of course, there's a little bit of negative. Our special teams still didn't show up, in my opinion. We had a fumble that, didn't cost us the game, but could have. But overall, I'm happy with the offense and defense performance.
John, how about you? What were your impressions?
Just to follow up on what Josh said, I mean, to only give up 67 yards on the ground, I think is a very impressive performance by that defense, and 189 total yards. I think that really did prove the point that this team showed up in Houston with a mission, and the mission was to stop the losing streak, which they did. There was balance in the offense this time. They, at least in that first half, they really emphasized the run a bit more than they had the past couple of weeks, and really continued to do that until LeGarrette Blount injured the hip and was unavailable for the rest of the game. I just like the overall approach of this team. It was a much more focused and a much more balanced approach that led to a very impressive team performance overall, except for, as Josh mentioned, the one special team gaffe, which I think has been solved by putting Danny Amendola back there, and I think that really is the answer to that question.
Yeah, as far as that, I don't think they should even attempt to take it outside of the end zone. I think they should just kneel it down. But regardless of that, I think that my opinion of this game is that last week at this time, nobody knew that anybody like Gronk or Dante Hightower would be back. It was like an uphill climb to gain a bye or complete home field advantage, and the offensive line looked in shambles. So, and the run game was non-existent. The receivers were dropping balls, but everything was improved. And it's amazing what a difference a week makes. First of all, it's just amazing the way that the defense played, and we're going to get to specific players in the defense and some of the players that Patriots fans, and especially Patriots fans who've listened to this show over the last 4 weeks, some of these names are going to sound really familiar that we rattle off here. But just the defense, I mean, it amazes me that I really wasn't that impressed by the offense, not to disparage them or anything, but I just really love watching this defense play. And that's my overall take of this game, is that Brian Hoyer, who, unfortunately, of course he was a former Patriot, but he was just smothered. And that really bodes well for this defense as far as the season goes along. And another big takeaway I got from this game besides the defense was Rob Gronkowski, which I want to talk about him first. The touchdown that he had was the 10th of the season for Gronkowski. He's the first time in NFL history with 5 seasons of at least 10 touchdown receptions. Also, he went over 1,000 yards for the season, making him the first time in NFL history through 3 seasons or more of 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. It was amazing. I thought that even before the game started, I thought that he was going to be, and there were reports out there that he was going to be eased in, and for the most part, he pretty much was. But after that catch that he made it in the end zone, that was just an amazing catch, and it just seems like he may not be almost 100% yet, but it looks like he's close to it. So, John, what did you think about Gronk, and do you think that he is the real MVP of this team? Because, and a lot of guys have actually said as much. An offensive player said that with Gronk on the field, they feel that they can win, and that's without standing of the GOAT quarterback. So, what do you think, John?
Look, I think you just brought it up. I do think that Gronk probably is really the straw that stirs this drink. That he drives the engine, and I think that the MVP conversation that has always been slanted toward the quarterback, I think maybe has been slanted too far that way, and that frankly Gronk is really the guy that makes the whole engine run on the offensive side of the ball. And when he's not available, either because of injury or anything else, this team really does struggle with any sort of a passing presence that with him there, it kind of becomes automatic. And And I don't think any of us really take him for granted, but maybe that's the way it sounds, that we do take him for granted. But I think the MVP talk is a valid point, that maybe we've always been giving too much credit to, frankly, the wrong guy.
Josh, do you think that the other guys on offense can step up, namely guys like Brandon LaFell, even though Gronkowski is the main one that's getting all the attention?
The guy, to me, that needs to show up most is, because I think James White is the man that we need to perform down the stretch, because if you look at the pace of the past, you had Kevin Falk, you had Shane Vereen, you had who else? Oh, then Deion Lewis this year. The Patriots have always needed that type of back, because I think it's a comfort zone for Brady to perform, and it opens up the field for New England in a big way. But Rob Gronkowski is clearly one of the most important players on the team. But I like to think New England is more of a. I think everyone has a little bit of a key piece to this machine that they have on offense, and yeah, the one guy also, Brandon LaFell, he needs to perform a little bit better. I'm just not happy with how he's played. But I mean, he wasn't terrible, but he wasn't great either in this game. But I don't think it's just one player on offense. I think it's everyone. I think everyone needs to perform.
I do think in LaFell's case, the problem is the drop passes, and that's been a consistent thing since he's returned to the lineup. Too many drop passes, and I think that's something that somehow has to be rectified, because going down the stretch and into the playoffs, a guy like LaFell is going to be needed as another option in this passing attack. And if you don't trust him, if you don't think that he can come up with key catches at key moments, it's just going to make it that much more difficult for this offense to perform the way it's been.
Now, switching gears a little bit, I want to talk about the offensive line, and I think they took some steps forward tonight. I think there was a little more push in the running game. I think there was a lot better pressure from the passing game, protection from the passing game. J.J. Watt, I think NBC probably had them on the must-see TV list or something, because that's all you pretty much heard about in the pregame specials. That's all you heard about, J.J. Watt, and his mitt that he had on his hand. Well, he had no sacks. He had a few tackles, but that's all you need to know pretty much about the offensive line. Jadeveon Clowney got a few plays in there. They were pretty much shut down until the fourth quarter, though, when Clowney got his 2 sacks. But just really think about it. The interior offensive line is made up of 2 fourth-round rookies and a second-year guy who's missed half the year. There's been no time for the O-line to start to build up much-needed continuity and rhythm. I think the bulk of the offensive line came back for the Philadelphia game, and hopefully that'll take us through the playoffs. So, John, what do you think about the offensive line? How do you think they fared against J.J. Watt and the Texans' passing rush?
I thought the offensive line did a very good job of changing up their line calls and not being predictable. They didn't double-team Watt all the time. They didn't double-team Clowney all the time. They switched off, and I think that they did keep things just enough off balance to make it work. Yes, Clowney did get a couple of sacks, and Watt, as you mentioned, made a couple of tackles. But neither one of those guys were in the backfield on a consistent basis, and I do think that the line calls that were made and the adjustments that were done as that game continued on, I think really did help with the eventual pass protection that Brady got. Not being predictable and not always doing the same thing, I think did allow this offensive line to generate some consistency that made the whole thing really work.
Josh, I want to ask you a question about Josh McDaniels, because going through message boards and going through comment sections, he's been getting a lot of heat the last couple of weeks, and some of that I don't really think is his fault, but I just think that last Sunday was a very interesting offensive game plan. It was more conservative, very passive that we see in recent weeks. Do you think that Josh has put the training wheels on this offense until all his guys can come back, mainly Julian Edelman?
I think they did a good job of putting the right guys on the field. I think when they put Michael Williams out there to help double-team Watt was a big key in this game, and I think a lot of the play call was interesting, like that one where they got a first down after, who was it? They had run down and they handed it off. I think it was Keyshawn Martin, and they got a first down off of that play. That was early in the game. That was a good play. They seem to be doing a lot of plays where there's more wide receiver activity before the snap, which I think has been helping them. And they're running a little bit different offense from what they normally do without Edelman out there. And I like what they're doing. That Michael Williams guy has been a pretty big key on this offensive line, especially against Houston Texans.
And John, I want to know what you thought about the running game, in particular, LeGarrette Blount, and we'll get to all the injuries when we talk about the injuries in a second, but do you think that they're going to miss LeGarrette Blount as far as his power, or do you think that they can flare well with James White and Brandon Bowden?
I think it would be a different type of a running attack with White and Bowden. I thought that first half the Patriots did show some push in that offensive line, and LeGarrette Blount was able to run the football effectively and really make that offense a bit more balanced and consequently more dangerous. You take Blount out of the mix, you put a couple of other guys into that backfield that may not be as powerful as Blount, maybe hit the holes the same way he does. It presents a different